Hey guys, how's it going? Okay, so this week I've got a production tip for you for Ableton Live. When I first started making dance music, something that really slowed me down and frustrated me was when I had an idea in my head and it took me so long to write in the little Midi sequences, and I'd be kind of like singing it and then trying to write it in and guessing where it needed to be. It took me so long that it would kind of take you out of that rhythm and it would take you out of that enthusiasm you had with this idea that's in your head. So in this week's lesson, I'm going to give you a really quick tip that will massively help you writing in rhythms and sequences in Midi from the sounds you have in your head. Let's do it. Hey guys, so what typically happens with me when I'm making a song is I'll probably be listening to another song and a bass line or a melody or something or even just a rhythm will come into my head. And I've just got this rhythm in my head today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just sing to you the rhythm and I'm going to show you my process that I would use to write this in. Now this process is really cool because it helps you get a good kind of rhythm in place, helps you write Midi in a kind of much more organic way than just sitting there trying to put in Midi notes to the grid. Cool, so the rhythm I have in my head sounds like this. Cool, so that was the rhythm there. Now what I'm actually going to do is simply record me singing that directly into Ableton. So I'm going to just record my voice singing it. Then what I'll be left with is an audio clip with different kind of wave files for where I've sang. Then I'm going to take that audio clip and I'm just going to draw the MIDI clips in line with those wave files, and it'll basically be perfectly in sync with what I've sang. And what I'll end up with is a really kind of organic MIDI clip which will fit in perfectly with me just singing the clip. Maybe that sounds complicated. I'm going to show you. It's really, really simple, okay? So if you look at my screen here, what I've got is a Ableton project and I've got my template in place. You guys will know about my template if you go to beginnerabletonlessons.com, where I teach you everything you need to know about Ableton and everything you need to know about writing dance music. I'll teach you all about this template that I've got, and it's really handy and it's a really quick template to use. So let's get into it. First thing I want to do is just work out the BPM of the song that I'm writing, okay? So I'm just going to kind of sing along and I'm going to tap this button here to find out roughly what the BPM is. So okay, so we've basically got about 119. I'm going to put that to 120. So I know basically that's about the speed of the track I'm going to write. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab an audio lane like this. I'm going to make sure that this is all set up to take my audio. So I'm going to go audio input. I'm going to go to Scala, which is my kind of audio input device there. You can see if I click, the green appears down here. Okay, so that's perfect. Now, the other little tip for you is to wear headphones and put the metronome on. So when you play the metronome, make sure you haven't got anything else playing, so things like kicks and stuff, move them out of the way, and just have a metronome playing. With Ableton 10, what I love is you can change the different types of metronomes. You can change it to a click, or even wood is quite cool. It sounds a bit like a kick drum. And remember guys, if you want to change the volume of the metronome, you can come down here to this little section here, which is like the master for things like metronome. And if you're sampling sounds, you can come over here and put this up and down. So that's a little tip for you guys. Cool. Right, so now I've got this metronome, I've got my headphones on listening to the metronome, haven't got my speakers on, I'm just going to record this sound, and maybe I'll just do it a couple of times. I'm going to loop a section here. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sing in this rhythm in my head directly into Ableton. I've got a lane just kind of ready to go here. I've got it armed over here. I'm just going to press record. I'm just going to start singing it in. Right, let's do it. Da 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 digga da 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 digga da 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 digga 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 da digga digga da 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 digga da 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 digga da 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 digga 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 da digga digga. Cool, so what I've got now is me singing that kind of rhythm or melody straight into Ableton. Now, in Ableton, there's a way you can actually convert an audio clip straight to MIDI. So what you can do is you can click on the MIDI clip like this, right click, you can go to convert melody to new MIDI track. But it's not always very reliable, this. So I'm going to show you, okay? I'm going to click this. And what Ableton will have done here is taken what I just sang and tried to convert it into a melody. But you'll hear it now. It's not really very good. Have a listen. So as you can hear, it's kind of got the melody, but it hasn't really got the melody right. It just sounds wrong. It doesn't sound very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of that, and I'm going to create my own MIDI clip here. Like this, insert MIDI clip. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom right in. I'm going to click on this audio clip here to make it bigger so we can visually see, okay? And I'm going to go to this MIDI clip here. I'm going to click this so we can find a note. Okay, so we'll just keep it there for now because we're more concerned about the rhythm than anything else. Okay, and now what we're going to do is, as you can see, if you move this around, I'm going to bring the volume on this down a little bit. If I bring this clip around, you can see it moving around here, but as you can see, it moves in increments like that, which are a bit jarring because you can't get it exactly right. So what you can do is you can click here and you can click Apple 2 or Apple 1, which will make it smaller and finer. You can even zoom in a bit here. And now when you move it around, you can move it and it's a bit more smooth in the increments. So we can zoom in even more here, and we're just going to write these in. So we've got one there, drag that across to here. I'm actually going to turn that off because you don't even really need to hear it. We're just doing the rhythm at this point. So there's one like that. You can even fold it at this point, so you've just got one line if you want. So click that, click fold. There we go. So we're not even going to move it around. Zoom this along. And you're just going to go along exactly like this. And you're just going to follow in the little marks, and you're just going to line them up with where you sung, okay? And even with these smaller bits here, what you can do is you can shrink it down to the size that it is here. So there's one, move it along to here, make that a bit longer, move that along to here, make that a little bit longer, so that's perfect like that. Then we can zoom along here. Okay guys, so what I've done is I've taken a bit of time to go through and draw the MIDI sequence perfectly underneath the audio. So if I zoom in, you'll see not only have I spaced it out perfectly with the audio here, but I've made the MIDI the same length as the notes that I've sang, okay? So if you go through, you'll see all the MIDI clips are kind of different lengths as well. So what we had originally was a sound of me just singing. It sounded like this. Da, 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 da. And now what we've got is a MIDI sequence that sounds a bit like this. It sounds really cool. It sounds more organic. It doesn't sound as electronic. I mean, obviously at the moment, it's just one static saw wave playing. But what I mean is the kind of rhythm of it. It feels a bit more human because it was kind of me singing it. It's not just me putting it in perfectly quantized. It's already got a bit of swing to it, and I didn't have to give it any swing. It just has a slightly more human feel to it. And that's something you're going to want to do the more you make music, is you want to somehow make your music sound a little less electronic and a little bit more human. It's a really cool way to do it. I particularly like this little flurry of notes at the end. It's nice. Okay, cool. So now I've shown you how to write these really cool like rhythms in by using your voice and drawing in the MIDI along with what you've sang in. I'm now going to take this file and see if I can come up with something kind of cool just using this rhythm that I've put in. Okay, cool. So let me have a play around and I'll get back to you. Okay guys, so I've had a little play around with this and I've come up with like a little bit of a kind of drop to go along with that rhythm that we originally sang in. So remember guys, the main thing I want you to remember is the whole thing about singing your voice and then writing the MIDI in is it sounds slightly offbeat. It sounds more organic, and that's kind of what we've gone for here. So when you listen to this, notice how it doesn't sound very quantized. It all sounds a bit off, and I think that sounds really cool. Okay, cool. So let me just kind of play just a track that I came up with around this, okay? So I've had a a bit of a play for an hour or two. And so this was the original kind of rhythm we had here. Okay, cool. So that was the original thing we had. That's what we sang in this morning. Then we came out with this kind of rhythm, this melody. And what I've actually come out with sounds like this. Which kind of sounds, I think, sounds really cool. So I'll kind of play. I did a bit of a basic build up to this as well, so you can hear what it would sound like as a drop. So it's going to build and then drop. So let's just listen to it. Sounds kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of like an idea. It's not a finished thing, really. But I do think it sounds cool. I particularly like this kind of little bit before the drop. Just sounds kind of cool. Like if I was to just, let me just take this away completely. And play that bit. This sound. So I'll just kind of give you one or two other like little tricks and tips that I've used here, which is I thought you guys might be interested in this build up here, where I just kind of repeat this sound. What I did to kind of increase the kind of rather than just writing in the MIDI, what I did was I had a ping pong delay here and just automated it to turn on at this point. So if you listen, all of a sudden the ping pong delay comes on and it kind of has this bouncing effect that sounds like it's increasing. And I've also automated it, the EQ of the ping pong delay, to kind of go up here. So you can have a listen, have a look at it and watch it. Ready? Let me just play it by itself. It's quite a cool little technique, isn't it? And what I did was I just separated out the notes, so I came out with this kind of initial sound that sounded a bit like this. Let me just get all the bass together so it sounded like this. Which is made up of a couple of different sounds. It's got that kind of top bass sound. Then it's got this kind of secondary sound that's a bit wider. Together they sound a bit like this. A classic thing I do, which you guys will know if you watched my beginner Ableton course, is with the bass. I like to take away the sub frequencies and just have the sub separately. So further down I've also got just a bass layer that's playing this. You may not even hear it unless you've got good speakers or good headphones. So together all that bass sound sounds a bit like this. And then for that bit that goes a-digga, between it, I've got a whole separate sound going on here. So if I come up, you can hear it sounds a bit like this, which is like a stab. It's made of two different sounds. It sounds like this. One sound sounds like this, and then the other sound sounds a bit higher, which is more like this, which is just up an octave. And then I put a huge reverb on it here, and I've kind of sidechained the reverb. So if you listen to it all together, it sounds a bit like this. Oh, let me turn this on right there. There we go. Let me just Oh, sorry, I gotta silence these two here. And then for the drums, I've just got a regular drum kick up here that sounds like this. Oh, that's the top kick. So I've got a regular kick with a top kick. I've put the kick in the key of B because that's what's kind of the key the main bass line is written in. Then I've got a clap here. I've kind of sliced up different kind of hi-hat sequences to sound a bit like this. And I've got another one on top of it, sounds like this. So that's the kind of drums that's going on there. So you've got the higher bass sound, the lower bass sound, and that's pretty much it. But you put them all together and you get this. And then that sound that I told you about at the beginning that sounded awesome, this one. The thing that causes it to kind of go down and up is I've got an auto filter filtering the top frequencies and bringing it up. And then if you go within the MIDI clip, I've also automated the pitch bend to come down, which is really cool as well. So there we go, guys. I'll just play it to you one last time. This is what we started with originally. And now we've got this. So there we go, guys. I hope this tutorial has helped, and I hope the whole kind of like the idea of just singing it in and then making the MIDI notes has really helped you out. Guys, if you've liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, make sure you leave a comment, and if you want to learn how to make music like this and you want to turn the thoughts into your head into real tracks like this, make sure you go and check out Beginner Ableton Lessons, where I will teach you everything you need to know about writing tracks like this. So even if you've never used Ableton before and you're like, well, I have no idea how to do that, I've got a beginner, intermediate, and mixing and mastering class where I can teach you just how to do everything. So arriving on the program for the first time and not knowing how to do anything at all, I'll teach you what every button, every plugin, every knob on here does. And then I will teach you in my intermediate course how to write cool tracks and how to turn those thoughts into melodies and how to make tracks that just sound really awesome and cool. And then I also teach you how to mix and master. This song hasn't been mixed or mastered properly, but when it's done, it'll sound really, really awesome. So there we go, guys. If you want to learn how to do this and you want to just take your music writing to that next level, make sure you check out beginnerabletonlessons.com. See you next week, guys. Ciao.